Hello, my people. How you doing? This is Ezekhome family. Please follow me on this page, comment and share. I love you guys. So, this video when I bring today, Nnamdi Kanu lawyer, Ezekhome Mike. So, wetin he want clear in this interview when he granted in Arise TV is the issue of political solution in regards to Nnamdi Kanu. So sometimes some of us don't understand what political solution means here, and now waiting he want explain very well so that some of us will be cleared. So here, the political solution here is that Nnamdi Kanu is under the mercy of Buhari, and they want Buhari to release him, to give command to release Nnamdi Kanu, because now then get the power, and Nnamdi Kanu cannot win in Buhari's court. That is one thing. Okay, now the UN don't already say release him. They are illegally treating him there. They should release him, but it is left for Buhari to say, let the due process occur so that they will release him, because say self-determination is his right. He had never committed any crime. You understand? And if they want to detain Nnamdi Kanu for 100 years, they can be doing it by shifting and shifting and shifting the court case. You people can see it. So that is why he came out to tell you that Buhari has the right to say release Nnamdi Kanu, and he will go. So political solution here does not mean that Nnamdi Kanu has collected money, or Nnamdi Kanu will no longer agitate for the state of Biafra. No, the political solution here is that Buhari has the right to release Nnamdi Kanu, to say release Nnamdi Kanu, leave everything, release him based on the law. If they follow the rule of law, Nnamdi Kanu will be released, because everybody knows that Nnamdi Kanu is passing political trials. And do you think it's possible for them to just release him just like that way? No. So that is why he wrote a letter to tell them that Nnamdi Kanu should be released. Nnamdi Kanu should be released because he has never committed any crime against him. So that is what he came to expatiate, so that all of us will get it clearly. Just get from him, from this interview. Remain blessed. Bye-bye.
For more on this issue, we're now being joined by the senior advocate of Nigeria himself, Chief Mike Ezekhome, who is the lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you so much, senior advocate, for joining us on the news tonight. We do appreciate your time. Just to start this conversation, you say you are appealing to the president to release Nnamdi Kanu through a more productive political solution. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, what it means is that you may win the war without winning the peace. So at the end of the day, it is always better to have peace, lasting peace, not what Chief MKO Abiola will call peace of the graveyard or peace of the cemetery. So I wrote to the president a 38-page letter with an executive summary of 3 pages, pleading with Mr. President to please release Nnamdi Kanu immediately and unconditionally, because Nnamdi Kanu's trial, as far as the facts have shown and as far as I'm concerned as his lawyer, is nothing but a political trial. Nnamdi Kanu is only a metaphor for the Igbo struggle for self-determination. And self-determination is recognized as a right by several international instruments. The United Nations Charter, Section 1, United Nations Charter of 1945, Section 1 of the International Covenant on Political and social rights of the people, Section 1 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights of the People, Section 20 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. All of them recognize self-determination to determine your destiny, how you want to live, as a necessary concomitant of human beings as Homo sapiens. So that was how Nnamdi Kanu in 2012 founded IPOB, a non-violent organization. We all saw them marching on the streets of Umuahia, Aba, Onitsha, Enugu, and elsewhere, blowing whistle, marching, singing, wearing beret. They were non-violent until the 14th of September 2017, when through Operation Python, the Nigerian army invaded the ancestral home of Nnamdi Kanu with his father in residence, Ezekhome, using Operation Python. In that operation, about 28 unarmed and innocent Nigerians were brutally mowed down. Nnamdi Kanu escaped through his teeth with the whiskers and landed first in Rome and then Israel, where he deposed to an affidavit to show the circumstances under which he had run away from Nigeria, that he did not jump bail which had been granted to him. Whilst on that bail in United Kingdom, as a citizen of UK, Nnamdi Kanu visited Kenya. And on the 26th of June, 2021, Nnamdi Kanu was forcibly abducted, like was done to Maru Diko on the 9th of July, 1984. He was kidnapped, forcibly abducted, blindfolded, tortured, and brutally, horrifically renditioned back to Nigeria, without Nigeria undergoing the due process of extradition law and going by the doctrine of specialty, which says you can only be brought back to face the trials on which you have been rendered, not existing counts, right, and not the existing counts on which you were being tried. So when Nnamdi Kanu was brought back, they had to again amend the 15-count charge, the 8-count charge that were against him before he was brutally brought back to Nigeria, to 50 counts. I went to court, argued against the counts as being not valid. The court struck out 8 of the 15 counts, right, remaining 7, for over which we have appealed to the Court of Appeal. I have made this appeal to Mr. President because you notice that, being the metaphor for the Igbo struggles, even though it's not physically outside prison, outside the gulag of SSS, where he's currently being kept under inhuman and degrading treatment, as found by the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Arrest in its report and ruling of 20th of July this year, the Igbos of the Southeast still obey him on any day his matter is coming up by sitting at home. This grinds to a halt businesses and the normal way of life. What I have done, right, is to appeal to Mr. President to, to use extrajudicial means, okay, not by force, but by calling upon the Attorney General to use Section 174 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as altered, as amended, to enter a nolle prosequi for, right, Nnamdi Kanu. What does it mean?
If I may comment,
continue the present counts charge going against him.
And one of those counts, Mr. Michael Ezekhome, is treasonable felony. Can you really have a political solution to treason charges? I mean, are there any precedences for that in Nigeria, for example? And what really would be the implications if Nnamdi Kanu is not released, especially when you say UN group had asked the government to release Nnamdi Kanu?
Yeah, the consequences for a country is to turn a country into a pariah nation. If United Nations organization, the Charter of 1945, to which you are a signatory, you are a charter, you are a citizen of the world, by being recognized by the United Nations, and it has given a ruling, and you ignore it, there are usually consequences. Such a country is turned into a pariah nation. When you talk about treason, Section 15 of the Extradition Act says you can only rendition a person back, not for counts that were already going on, but for the matter you think he has done wrong there. So the United Nations Working Group indicted the Nigerian government and the Kenyan government for brutally bringing Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria and keeping him under horrendous treatment. Treason, there are no counts really bordering on treason. The nearest they have is what they call treasonable felony. But we have shown the counts for what they are: empty, hollow, vain, vacuous. Counts that have no substance, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. That was why we were able to strike out to get 8 counts struck out, remaining 7, which we have told the Court of Appeal to also strike out. If you accuse a person, for example, of making a broadcast, you didn't state where he made the broadcast, whether it was in the spirit world or in the land of the dead or in ghost land, and then you are saying that based on that voice, which can be simulated, that some people demonstrated in Nigeria and burnt houses, some military people were also affected. I hope the government will be able to call about 1 million Nigerians out of Nigeria's 280 million people to come and testify to show what effect they said a broadcast from an unknown destination, contrary to the Federal High Court Act and contrary to decisions by the Supreme Court, that you must state the venue of an offense and the time. They did not state. Would they be able to have up to 1 million Nigerians to come and state, okay, you made this broadcast? That is why some people broke ribs. The counts themselves are ludicrous and ridiculous. The nearest they would have got is that he imported the transmitter.
All right, so
to where Obulu is Suzo. Anambra State, which the Federal High Court in Abuja has no jurisdiction over. So I am telling President Buhari that as the president of Nigeria, he can look at the larger picture, not at the smaller picture. He must see the cup as half full, not as half empty.
All right.
He must see Nnamdi Kanu,
if I may come in here,
from the binoculars that is being persecuted.
Okay.
His political persecution, as found out by the United Nations Working Group on arbitrary detention.
Okay, Senior Advocate, I mean, you've written this to the president. I wonder if there's been any response. And I also like to ask you, because the president has been asked this question only recently in an interview, and he said he would not interfere with the judiciary. Kanu's case is in the court. Let the judiciary take its course. Let the case take its course in court. But I also want to ask you, as a Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is it that you do not have faith in the system, in the judiciary, for this case to run its course?
To start with, the case itself is political. When I say political cases, I know them. I've practiced law for 41 years. When the president says he will not interfere with the judiciary, no one is saying he should interfere with the judiciary. I do not expect Mr. President to go before the judge and say, hello, I want you to withdraw this case. I've struck it out. It doesn't go that way. Nor will I ever advocate for that. What I do say is that the president is the appointer of Abubakar Malami, the attorney, a senior advocate of Nigeria, the attorney general of the federation. Have you not seen in the last 7 years many political cases, many cases involving federal government appointees that were discontinued with a nolle prosequi? That is not interference with the judiciary. It is a right, a constitutional right given to the attorney general of the federation under section 175 of the constitution, that you can undertake, you can continue, you can discontinue, you can withdraw any charge that is already going on, whether initially filed by you or by any other person or authority. But the attorney general cannot do this by himself. because it's an appointee of Mr. President, because the tail cannot wag the dog, because the messenger cannot become greater than the person who sent him a message. That is why I'm saying the president as commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria, and as the president, using his executive powers under Section 5 of the Constitution, does have the power to instruct the Attorney General to say, look, it is more politically, socially, culturally, economically productive to have Nnamdi Kanu released immediately and unconditionally from detention, so that there will be peace again in the restless southeast part of Nigeria. Is southeast not a part of Nigeria? Have you not seen that each day Nnamdi Kanu is going to court, or when they believe that he's going to court, that the entire place is locked down, and that has been going on for over 3, 4, 5 years? Is Mr. President, can he not see southeast as part and parcel of Nigeria, and discover that the best solution to this is political solution? That is not interference with the judiciary. It is by simply instructing the Attorney General of the Federation, who will do what the law says he can do under Section 174 of the Constitution. I assure you, my dear sister, that is not interference with the judicial function. Rather, it is in compliance with our judicial tenets.
Yeah, but there are others who would say that this might just set the wrong precedents and wrong signals to those who may want to take up arms against the country in the name of ethnic or regional agitations. And I'd also like you to address, in the event that President Muhammadu Buhari does not listen to your plea, apart from the indictment by the UN Council, what else can the UN Council do to intervene in this matter?
Well, the UN has various sanctions that can be imposed on a country that willfully defies any of its agencies, particularly on matters having to do with human rights of the citizens. The UN, in this case, through its agency, has found that Nnamdi Kanu was brutally tortured, that even we, his lawyers, are not given access to him, and that we are even being dehumanized. Do you know, when we visit SSS, everything, every single thing, up to pen, up to coins, up to naira notes, up to handkerchief, up to your shoes, have to be removed before you can see Nnamdi Kanu? How do I confer with my client without a file, without books, without papers for us to have ideas? That is not a fair trial. The same people who accuse him, who got him renditioned back to Nigeria forcefully, under torturous circumstances, blindfolded, on the 26th of June 2021, are the same people who investigated him, who accused him, who are prosecuting him, and they are the people who are also his custodians, keeping him under solitary confinement, with his health failing on a daily basis. His health failing. Nnamdi Kanu's health is failing on a daily basis. And we have begged, let an independent doctor look at him, particularly having regard with his potassium content, the potassium content in his body. And he's draining away. And he is kept in solitary confinement. He can only be open on certain days of the week just to see the sun. Don't you know, vitamin D, that you must have the sun? Now, if the government does not do that, that means the government is saying, telling the United Nations, go to hell. Although we are a part and parcel of you, we can do anything we want to do and ignore you. And there are consequences. Many of them, legal, constitutional, international, conventional, and including a country being turned into a pariah in a way that when you speak, they will say, oh, don't mind them. They are not rule of law compliant. That is not the kind of image we want. I know President Buhari, I'm sure, and I urge him not to leave behind such a legacy. Didn't he just tell the hunger last week when he was here that he wants to leave behind a legacy of adherence to rule of law and a free and fair election and electoral process? This is one such time that Mr. President is being called upon to walk the talk, that you just said last week by releasing Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally, forthwith, immediately. And it caused the government no harm. Nnamdi Kanu will simply come, go back to his village. The entire Igbo people will come out jubilating. Everybody will be happy. Can't you see that the tension is too much? We can, instead of self-immolating, self-destructing, we can self-build. We can build confidence. We can stretch our hands across the Niger, across the Benue. We can incorporate everybody. We can have rapprochement. We can bring about peace, genuine peace that leads to egalitarianism. Peace, not peace of the graveyard or cemetery, but peace that is to build with mutual respect.
Yeah,
so
that point has been.
We also feel they are part and parcel of this country.
That point has been well.
It
has been well made. If I may just.
Sunday Igboho,
yes,
who was also arrested.
Right.
I've written severally on it that he should also, because his determination for Oduduwa Republic is not a crime known in international law.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. That's the point I'm trying to raise with you. If it were not signal to non-state actors and other ethnic agitators that they can actually go ahead, in the event that President Muhammadu Buhari really responds to your appeal.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You and I, we are living in Nigeria. You are talking about harmless people who are not armed. Are you not aware that in this country, some Boko Haram, some people accused of Boko Haram were released and traded for others by way of a quid pro quo? They say, okay, release some of us. Then we will release some of your detained citizens. Are you not aware that that has gone on in this country? So what is the bad precedent of saying a non-violent person should be released from detention, from illegal detention, a detention that the United Nations has been found to be illegal and to be unconstitutional and to be torturous? I do not see anything that is setting any bad precedent there in a situation where as a matter of fact, some Boko Haram and armed bandits are being released in exchange for some of their members, where kidnappers are demanding from parents of children they have kidnapped to buy tarodo, tatashe, tomatoes, vegetable oil, palm oil, ugba, to buy salt, to buy rice, for them, beans, yams, for them to feed their children so as to keep them alive, to enable the parents pay ransom for them. What is the long precedent here that we are just saying find a political solution by going through the tenets and the provisions of the law? I do not personally see anything wrong with that at all, and there's none that I know of. And I cannot see it leading to any floodgate or any resurgence by other people coming to say, criminals coming to say, oh, you must also give me reprieve. It does not happen that way. How many Nnamdi Kanus do you have in Nigeria? And how many Sunday Igbohos do you have in Nigeria? These are people who have carried the specter of their people on their heads, and they have become a metaphor for their self-determination struggle.
Right, Mr. Mike Ezekhome, senior advocate of Nigeria and lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu, the proscribed IPOB leader. Thank you so much for joining us.